Hello everyone, welcome to AppleKnows channel. I am Apple, and today I am going to take you on a journey through the land of the most shocking and mind-bending facts about animals that walk, crawl, leap, and run on Earth. These are the kind of facts that sound like science fiction, but they are very real, and once you hear them, you may never look at the animal kingdom the same way again. Let me start with something you would not expect about giraffes. Everyone knows they have long necks, but what shocks most people is that giraffes have the exact same number of neck bones as humans. 7. They are just much larger, each vertebra can be over 10 inches long. Imagine your neck stretching like that and still holding your head steady. But it gets stranger. When two giraffes fight, they swing their necks like giant hammers, crashing their skulls into each other with a force so violent that the sound can be heard from far away. Yet, despite this brutal combat, giraffes often walk away without visible injuries, as if their anatomy was designed for a sport of giants. Now think about camels. People often imagine them as water tanks, storing gallons of liquid in their humps. That is false. The hump is pure fat, sometimes up to 80 pounds of it. The fat is burned for energy when food is scarce, and the real water storage is in their bloodstream. A camel can drink over 30 gallons in just 10 minutes, and its blood cells are oval-shaped, unlike the round ones in humans, so they can stretch without bursting as the animal rehydrates. This means a camel can lose up to a quarter of its body weight in water and still survive, something that would kill almost any other mammal. But if we move to elephants, you will see a different kind of shocking ability. These giants mourn their dead. Herds have been observed returning to the bones of relatives years after death, touching them gently with their trunks, standing silently around them as if paying respect. Elephants also communicate in ways we cannot easily detect. They produce infrasound, vibrations so low in pitch that humans cannot hear them, but those sounds travel for miles across the ground. Elephants miles apart can feel each other's presence through the soles of their feet. Imagine entire herds whispering to each other through the earth itself. And here is a fact that might unsettle you. Lions, the so-called kings of the jungle, often do not hunt for themselves. It is the lionesses who bring down the prey. A male lion might eat first, but the effort, the strategy, the danger, that is handled by the females. Even more shocking, when a new male takes over a pride, he may kill all the cubs fathered by his predecessor, forcing the females to mate with him and continue his bloodline. It is brutal, but it is also nature's way of ensuring survival of the strongest genes. There is also something terrifying about hippos. They look like lazy river giants, but they kill more people each year than lions, elephants, or crocodiles combined. They can run faster than a human sprinter, and their jaws can snap a canoe in half in a single bite. Yet what many do not know is that their sweat acts as sunscreen. It oozes a red oily liquid that blocks harmful rays and prevents infection. Scientists call it blood sweat, but it is not blood, it is chemistry evolved into armor. Another fact that sounds almost like a riddle involves kangaroos. A kangaroo cannot move its hind legs independently on land. They always move in unison, like springs firing together. But in water, something astonishing happens. They can swim, and in the water they move each leg separately, almost like a human. Two different locomotion systems, depending on the element they are in. And then there are sloths. People think of them as lazy, but the truth is far stranger. Their fur grows algae, turning them green, a camouflage that helps them vanish into the forest canopy. Some species even have moths living in their fur, which depend on sloth dung to reproduce. The cycle is bizarre. The sloth climbs down only once a week to defecate, the moths lay eggs in the dung, new moths hatch, and fly back to the sloth. The algae feed on the moth waste, and the sloth eats the algae for extra nutrients. It is an entire micro-ecosystem on the back of a single animal. But let us step into the darkness of hyenas. Their laugh is not just noise, it is communication. Each giggle carries information about age, rank, and even mood. And the society of hyenas is dominated by females. The females are larger, more aggressive, and even have a pseudo-male organ, a long clitoris that makes it extremely difficult to tell males and females apart. This has caused endless confusion even among scientists. And finally, think about armadillos. Their armor is so strong that bullets have sometimes ricocheted off them. But what is even stranger is that the nine-banded armadillo can give birth to identical quadruplets every time. For genetically identical young, like living clones. No other mammal does this naturally. You see, the land is not just full of animals we think we know. It is a universe of strange designs, shocking behaviors, and evolutionary experiments that push the limits of imagination. And I, Apple, will keep opening these hidden doors for you, fact by fact, until the world you thought was familiar becomes the most alien and fascinating place you have ever seen. If you thought the last facts were strange, then prepare yourself, because the deeper we go into the animal kingdom, the stranger and more shocking the truths become. Take crocodiles, for example. They have been on this planet for over 200 million years, surviving mass extinctions that wiped out entire species. But what is truly hard to believe is how they digest. Their stomach is so acidic it can dissolve bones, hooves, and horns with ease. They even swallow stones, which act as ballast to help them dive and crush food more effectively. And here is the most chilling detail: crocodiles can slow their heart rate to just 2 beats per minute, allowing them to stay underwater without breathing for over an hour, patiently waiting for prey to come close. Now look at the pangolin, often called the scaly anteater. It is the only mammal covered entirely in keratin scales, the same material as human nails, but sharpened into natural armor. When threatened, it curls into a tight ball, and even lions struggle to bite through it. But what few people know is that pangolins have tongues longer than their bodies. When they stretch it out to catch ants and termites, the tongue can measure over 2 feet, anchored deep into their chest cavity. It is as if the animal was built around its tongue. Then there are ostriches. Everyone knows they are the largest birds, but their power goes beyond size. An ostrich kick can kill a lion, and their eyes are larger than their brains. But here is something that might shock you: they do not actually bury their heads in the sand. That is a myth. What they do is press their long necks flat against the ground when threatened, blending into the landscape. From a distance, it creates the illusion that the head has disappeared into the earth. Porcupines are another surprise. Most people think of them as slow and harmless, but their quills are lethal weapons. Each quill has microscopic barbs that make them impossible to pull out once embedded in flesh. They drive deeper with every movement, sometimes piercing vital organs. In Africa, even lions avoid attacking a porcupine because of the risk. The quills have been found lodged in predator skulls months after an attack, still causing fatal infections. And then, the kangaroo rat. This tiny desert creature never drinks water. Not once in its life. Instead, it survives entirely on seeds, extracting water from the chemical breakdown of carbohydrates inside its body. Its kidneys are so efficient that its urine is thicker than syrup, conserving every drop of liquid. If humans tried to live without drinking, we would be dead in a matter of days, yet the kangaroo rat thrives in some of the harshest deserts on Earth. But if you want strange, let us talk about horned lizards. They have a defense strategy that sounds like a horror story. When threatened, they can shoot streams of blood out of their eyes, aiming directly at the face of predators. The blood contains foul-tasting chemicals that drive attackers away. It is shocking, grotesque, and effective. Evolution gave them a built-in horror weapon. And speaking of predators, wolves have a fascinating hidden truth. When they howl, it is not random. Each howl is unique, like a fingerprint, and pack members can identify each other by sound alone. But here is the twist: wolves will avoid howling in unison if it risks sounding too similar to other packs nearby. They consciously adjust their voices to avoid confusion and conflict, showing a level of social awareness we rarely credit animals with. And let us not forget the platypus. It looks like a joke: duckbill, beaver tail, otter feet, but it hides weapons. Male platypuses have venomous spurs on their hind legs, capable of delivering a sting so painful that even morphine has little effect on the agony. And their bill is not just for scooping food, it is packed with electroreceptors, allowing them to sense the electric fields of prey hiding underwater. They are like living biological radars. The land is full of animals that seem to break the rules of biology, bending reality into shapes we struggle to comprehend. And yet, every one of these creatures is real, alive, and walking among us today. What you are about to hear may sound impossible, but remember, these are all facts grounded in nature, and once you know them, you cannot unknow them. Let us start with ants. They may seem small, but some species are living machines of war. Army ants, for example, do not build permanent nests. Instead, they form living fortresses with their own bodies, linking together into massive walls and chambers where the queen and larvae are protected. The colony moves like a wave of destruction, consuming anything in its path. To put it in perspective, a column of army ants can strip a small animal to the bone in minutes, and yet, each ant is blind, following only chemical signals. Blind chaos turns into perfect coordination. Then we have the axolotl, a creature often called the walking fish, though it is not a fish at all but a salamander. What makes it so shocking is its ability to regenerate. If it loses a limb, it grows back. If it loses part of its spinal cord, or even pieces of its brain, it regenerates perfectly, with no scar tissue. Scientists study axolotls hoping to unlock secrets for human medicine, but the axolotl has been doing this naturally for millions of years. Imagine regrowing a severed arm as easily as trimming a fingernail. Now consider the wombat. At first, it looks like a typical burrowing marsupial, but its feces are cube-shaped. Perfect cubes, piling up like bricks. This is not a joke. The wombat's intestines have regions that stretch and contract at different rates, sculpting the dung into sharp corners. Why? Because wombats use their droppings to mark territory, and cube shapes do not roll away. Evolution literally engineered square poop for practical reasons. Let us not forget the Komodo dragon. This massive lizard is not just strong, it is venomous. For years scientists thought it killed prey through bacteria in its saliva, but the truth is even darker. Komodo dragons deliver venom that lowers blood pressure, causes massive bleeding, and prevents clotting. Once bitten, even a large buffalo will stumble and collapse, drained by the chemistry of death. The dragon then follows patiently, waiting for the victim to weaken before devouring it whole. And speaking of patience, there is the Greenland shark. It lives in icy Arctic waters and moves so slowly it is often called a ghost of the sea. But what will shock you is its lifespan. The Greenland shark can live for over 4 centuries. Some living individuals today were swimming through the oceans when Shakespeare was still writing plays. Imagine an animal older than entire countries, gliding silently beneath the ice. If you think that is eerie, consider the naked mole rat. It is almost immune to cancer. Its cells are packed with a special sugar that prevents them from clumping and forming tumors. Naked mole rats also feel almost no pain from acid or chili-like substances, and they can survive without oxygen for up to 18 minutes by switching their metabolism to something more like a plant. They are mammals, yet they break almost every mammalian rule. But here is a fact that really unsettles people. The Tasmanian devil, a small but ferocious predator, has a contagious cancer. Unlike most cancers, which stay inside one body, this disease can spread from animal to animal through biting. The tumors grow so aggressively that they disfigure the face, often killing the host. Entire populations have been devastated by this unique, transmissible cancer, something so rare it seems almost alien. And then there are snakes. The king cobra, the longest venomous snake in the world, can stand up to a third of its body length. That means a cobra over 5 meters long can look a human directly in the eyes. Its venom does not just kill, it attacks the nervous system, shutting down communication between brain and body, leading to paralysis and death in minutes. But what is even more shocking is that king cobras will not always attack. They are intelligent enough to recognize when striking is unnecessary, and they can actually spare lives when they choose. The more we explore, the more it feels like Earth itself is a laboratory of impossible designs. And yet every single fact is reality, waiting for those who dare to look closer. These are not myths or legends, but raw truths that sound like they were pulled straight out of science fiction. Take cheetahs, for instance. Everyone knows they are the fastest land animals, capable of sprinting up to 70 miles per hour. But here is what people rarely realize: cheetahs can only maintain that speed for about 20 to 30 seconds before overheating. Their chests rise and fall like engines about to explode, and their bodies are pushed to the absolute limit. A single chase could mean victory or collapse. Even stranger, cheetahs cannot roar like lions or tigers. Instead, they chirp, meow, and purr like oversized house cats. The king of speed speaks with the voice of a pet. Now let us look at crocodile icefish from Antarctica, one of the few vertebrates with no hemoglobin in its blood. Their blood is clear, like water. While this is usually a fish fact, here is the twist: the reason it matters for land animals is because it proves evolution can throw out rules we think are absolute. If blood can be transparent in one species, what hidden designs might exist in land mammals we have not fully studied yet? But back to the ground. Consider the giraffe again, but not for its height. When it bends down to drink, blood should rush into its brain with deadly pressure. Instead, giraffes have a complex network of valves in their neck veins that regulate flow like a hydraulic system. This prevents brain damage every time they lower their heads. Their circulatory system works like precision engineering, yet it evolved naturally. And then there are ants again, but leafcutter ants specifically. They farm. These tiny insects cut leaves not to eat directly, but to feed underground fungus gardens. The fungus is their food, and they protect it like crops. They even use antimicrobial chemicals to prevent mold, essentially creating their own agricultural system millions of years before humans ever planted seeds. Think about that, tiny creatures running farms hidden beneath the soil. Now let us go bigger. Rhinos are massive, armored herbivores, but here is the chilling truth: their horns are not bone. They are made entirely of keratin, the same substance as human hair and nails. Yet this simple protein can form a weapon sharp enough to kill lions and strong enough to smash through wood. A horn that grows like hair but functions like steel. And then there are frogs. The wood frog of Alaska can freeze solid in winter. Its heart stops, its body hardens like stone, and it looks completely dead. But when spring returns, it thaws and hops away as if nothing happened. No mammal on Earth can do this, but this tiny amphibian can stop time inside its body, surviving conditions that would instantly kill a human. Moving to birds on land, did you know that cassowaries are often called the most dangerous birds alive? They can disembowel a human with a single kick. Their claws are like daggers, and their legs are so powerful they have been known to shatter bones. Yet they are covered in vivid blue skin and a helmet-like crest that looks almost prehistoric, and for good reason: they are direct descendants of dinosaurs, still carrying the danger of that lineage. But perhaps the strangest fact of all comes from possums. They have a natural immunity to most snake venom, including rattlesnakes. They also have more teeth than any other North American mammal. And their famous act of playing dead is not a performance. It is an involuntary reaction, like fainting. Their bodies shut down, their mouths foam, and they even emit the smell of a rotting corpse. Predators often lose interest, believing the opossum is diseased. It is not acting, it is a biological shutdown switch. Land animals are living proof that evolution is not just about survival, it is about bending the rules of life itself. And some of these truths are going to stay in your head long after you hear them. Let us begin with the platypus again, because one detail I did not mention earlier is even more shocking. This mammal lays eggs, which is already bizarre enough, but here is the part that shakes people: it glows under ultraviolet light. Shine a UV beam on its fur, and the animal radiates in a bluish-green color. Nobody knows exactly why. It may be for camouflage, or communication, or something we have not even guessed yet. A glowing mammal sounds fictional, but it is real, right here on Earth. Now think about cows. They may seem ordinary, but their stomachs tell a different story. A cow has 4 compartments in its stomach, working together to digest grass, a food humans cannot extract much from. But here is the fact that disturbs many: cows produce more methane than cars produce carbon monoxide. A single cow can release up to 220 pounds of methane gas each year, a greenhouse gas far more powerful than carbon dioxide. Imagine herds of millions doing this day after day. Livestock are actually one of the biggest hidden forces changing our atmosphere. Then there are goats. It sounds funny, but goats really can climb trees. In Morocco, entire groups of goats can be seen perched high up in argan trees, balancing on thin branches, nibbling on fruit. They look unnatural, like a Photoshop trick, but it is reality. Farmers even rely on them, because goats eat the fruit, spit out or pass the seeds, and help spread argan trees across the landscape. But let us get darker. Take bats, the only flying mammals. Most people think of them as bloodsuckers, but only 3 species feed on blood. The real shock is how they do it. Vampire bats approach quietly, their bites are so sharp the prey does not feel the incision, and then their saliva contains a chemical that stops blood from clotting. The bat licks up the flowing blood like water. What scientists found fascinating is that the anticoagulant in their saliva is now used in medicine to help stroke patients. Nature's horror turned into human survival. Now turn to dogs, our companions. They have a sense of smell so powerful that they can detect cancer in humans, sometimes earlier than machines. They can smell changes in blood sugar levels, detect seizures before they happen, and even sense when their owner is stressed or afraid through sweat and pheromones. To a dog, the world is not sight or sound, it is a universe of smells so detailed they can detect a teaspoon of sugar dissolved in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. But if you want strange, look at snakes again. Some species, like the rattlesnake, can see heat. They have special pits near their eyes that detect infrared radiation, allowing them to strike with pinpoint accuracy even in complete darkness. To them, the world is a thermal map of glowing prey. And then we have orangutans, the thinkers of the forest. They use tools, but not just sticks for termites or leaves for umbrellas. In captivity, orangutans have been known to pick locks, unscrew bolts, and even learn how to use saws and hammers by watching humans. They understand cause and effect on a level that suggests planning and foresight, something once believed to be uniquely human. Finally, let me tell you about hedgehogs. They have a bizarre behavior called anointing. When they encounter a new smell, they lick it, create a frothy saliva, and spread it all over their spines. Nobody fully understands why, but scientists believe it may act as a form of chemical camouflage or even a toxin delivery system, coating their quills with strange substances from the environment. Imagine an animal weaponizing the smells of the world against predators. This is Apple from AppleKnows channel, and now it is time to close this journey. What we uncovered together proves a single undeniable truth: the land is alive with mysteries that defy expectation. From insects that explode boiling chemicals, to mammals that glow, to birds that wage wars against armies, every fact is a reminder that nature is not gentle or ordinary, it is ingenious, brutal, and breathtaking. We humans walk the same ground as these creatures, yet most of us never see the layers of genius, danger, and strangeness that evolution has left behind. But you now know the secrets, the shocking truths that change how you look at every step in the wild. This was Apple from AppleKnows channel. Thank you for listening, thank you for wondering, and never stop questioning, because reality will always be stranger than imagination.